Thank you. And well, actually, I just learned that this will be in English, so I prepared in German, but that shouldn't be a problem at all. Thanks to you all for being a guest here today. And of course, I'm only the host for what you are about to learn in the next 30 minutes. So actually, we have a small change. It's AT Kearney, but both colleagues of actually Alexander Menke, whom I want to welcome on the stage right now, are with clients or traveling. So please do accept our apologies. But I'm sure Alexander is more than good to jump into their space, since in the end it's the topic that matters. Industry 4.0, the industrial internet, the Internet of Things. That's what this CeBIT is all about. That's what the upcoming Hanover Trade Fair in April will be all about. Things are going to connect even further. Will be interesting to learn how the Deutsche Messe AG is going to react on this development, since everything's about business models in this new world. So we'll talk not about automation in the very first place, but how to build business models on that, give examples and all that. And Alexander Menke, who is a manager with AT Kearney, he will have the first 10 minutes to present the general topic, and then we'll talk about it. So please, Alexander, it's your stage.
Thank you very much, Mr. Knop. Yeah, good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for the invitation. Great to be here. It's a pleasure. Before we start, I would like to show you a brief video about the changing environment we are currently living in. So, if we could start the video, please. Okay, so as also shown in the video, the question how to become more adaptive, more agile, more digital. That's a question where many companies and many clients from us currently struggling with. Everybody wants to go into the digital world, into the digital business, digital environment. Everybody wants to have or leverage big data, cloud, machine-to-machine communication. All of these are the different topics. But many companies actually struggle with and don't really know how to earn money with all the new technologies that is currently available. So this is something where we see it's important for a company, first of all, to start rather from an economic perspective than from a technical perspective. What does it mean? That means, first of all, you need to have a proper business model in place that supports your digital business going forward. And then, based on that, to understand what to offer and where to leverage digital technologies. So what does it mean now, digital business model? What does it mean to earn money with that? How can I do that? How can I make that doable? First of all, you should start from a customer perspective. You should really understand, okay, what are the customer needs? What does the customer want? And that should be the very first starting point from your business model. Because we also saw for a lot of clients, also here in Germany, big industry conglomerates that started to say, yeah, we now want to do Industry 4.0, we want to do Internet of Things. So they reached out to their research and development department, said, okay, now let's do a digital business. They started with a small pilot, used some of these technologies, but in the end it turned not out to be profitable because they didn't really understood what the customer need was. So really, first of all, start with the customer needs and the customer wants. Based on that, then you should define your use cases. What is a use case? It's basically example where you say you want to achieve a certain target. Taking the smart home industry, for example, a use case could be you have your mobile telephone, you want to control and monitor your home remotely. This would be, for example, one use case to make or to bring or to address the customer need, basically. So that's the second thing. Third thing is then when you have defined your use cases, you should understand how you can enable these use cases based in your existing product portfolio, or maybe you need to create new products, new services to address these use cases. So that's number 3. And then if you have then defined your product portfolio and offering, you should also think about how to earn money with that. So you have now your portfolio, but how to earn money with that. And this is also something where we especially see in the US, companies much more think in terms of a business model perspective than in terms of a technologies perspective. Here in Germany and in Europe, if you think about Industry 4.0, for example, a lot of companies try to address efficiency savings, optimization of resources, optimization of energy, reduced time to market. On the other side, the US companies rather think about, okay, what is really a disruptive business model? How can we earn money with a complete new business case, for example, with a database business model? So these are different directions you take, but in overall, you should clearly answer your question, how to earn money with that. Is it just with your product? So you want to keep your product margin, could be one option. Other option is, for example, you offer additional services to keep your product price and maybe to add a price premium also. This was, for example, done in the consumer electronics industry. If you look at hi-fi equipment, where they also launched, especially in the premium segment, some apps to keep the price premium. You can also do it differently. You can also add, in addition to your products, also services. For example, ThyssenKrupp or Schindler in the elevator industry recently launched some predictive maintenance services to ensure a high availability of the elevators, and also lower maintenance costs because it's more predictable to do maintenance and here to save costs. So this could also be another option to add additional service, or even going forward more to a Google model to use your data and then earn money with the data. So these are the questions that you should address when you talk and think about your business model. On the other hand, you have also then your operating model, because then the question is, if you have defined your business model, how to bring your business model to life. And for that, there are also several dimensions to consider. First and foremost, processes and organization. You need well-defined processes, and agile organization to bring your business model to life. But also the governance is important. The steering of your organization, the steering of the processes is an important part to address. Also partners, how to create or maintain a partner ecosystem. Many customers, especially our clients, also big industry companies, do not have these digital capabilities at the moment in their organization. So the question is either to recruit some so-called digital natives, or to create these and build these capabilities externally. And for this, you need partners. So there's also a key here for the digital operating model to create a partner ecosystem. And then finally, also related to the organization, culture and capabilities. As I said, it's very difficult to convince digital natives either to start at Google or to start at a 100 or 200 years old industry company here in Germany. So you also need to create a culture where you also address digital talents. So in the end, if you think about then bringing digital technologies to life, you should first of all start thinking about the digital business model, and then secondly also about the digital operating model.
Well, thank you, Alexander. What you just talked about, actually, it sounded like a list of things. Well, like a to-do list could be a little bit boring, but in the end, it's a revolution you're talking about. I mean, rather not every company really does listen to their customers. Once you hear even young startups here in this Hall 16 here tell me, when we listen to our customers, they tell us things we never had expected. So way fewer features for our products, just a tiny little part of what we think is really cool. Is interesting for their business. So let's start with this new customer-centric view. The digitalization, the transparency, and the real-time economics it brings with it changes everything there, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's, I would say here in this whole startups have most of all a good idea, very good idea, but you should always then, as I said, think about twice what is actually the benefit and the value add to a customer. Yeah, is the idea that I have, is it, can I also bring it to life, bring it to market? Can I earn money with that?
Right. So like a newspaper has to change its business model entirely, like mine, and it's really hard to find out who this new customer really looks like and how to monetize him. We'll talk about that later. It's even as interesting for a startup to get to know a customer, right? And it's maybe the hardest thing to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, it does not mean once you understand your customer requirements, that's it. They, especially in the current environment, in the current life, they change continuously. So it's really an ongoing process to understand your customer needs.
So, and market research maybe doesn't help a lot. It's about what's happening right now here, right beside us, is to talk to your customer and to listen to him, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And to draw the right conclusions from it, and you don't want to sell the stuff you really do want to sell, but you want to be more flexible in the future.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do I build use cases on that? Your second point.
Yeah.
I have to be flexible there also. Is maybe 3D printing something that might help there in the future? If I do develop a product, need to change it quickly, so this new digital world gives me maybe more opportunities to adapt faster, or do you mean something different by that?
No, it could be, but as I said, 3D printing would be for me a technology. So first of all, you should define your use case. For example, would be immediate spare part delivery, for example.
Okay.
Instead of getting the spare part shipped to the customer,
you get it like same day.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So this should be then a use case, and to enable this use case, 3D printing could be an option.
Okay, so just on a side note, same day delivery, instant access to a machine, spare part, a book or whatever is part of this future also, right? It's basically the physical part of the Internet of Things. You want it right away.
Yeah, exactly. And both the virtual and the physical world merge much more together than it was in the past.
Right. So the third thing was enable cases based on the existing product portfolio.
Yep.
But what do I do if I'm a codec and my existing product portfolio is just becoming obsolete because of a digital disruption?
Yeah. Of course, then I would say you haven't yet understand your customer needs.
Okay, so I should have listened to them sooner and developed the digital camera I developed in my own house, like it was with Kodak, and just put away the stuff I did in the past.
It could be an option.
Okay, but it's hard since a printed newspaper basically is the same thing as a film. So it's not possible to switch in an instant, I can tell you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you need to see, okay, what other options do exist? How can I leverage my existing portfolio? What additional services can I add to basically accommodate to the new environment?
So it's not the first time you're talking about services. And just yesterday, we had a press conference here in this booth about smart services and a report with really intelligent people working on that for 2 years, I guess, on how to develop the German economy based on smart services. Mm-hmm. The fear behind it is that we just miss the train when it comes to selling this exact service on top of the elevator you mentioned.
Yeah.
Do you think we are too laid back there in Germany and should focus on those services way more than we do?
I think there should be much more focus on that, but I wouldn't say we haven't already missed the train.
So okay.
There
so not to be too pessimistic.
No,
okay.
No, definitely. Because also if you look at the US, there's the industrial internet consumption. So they also think about maybe, or they market that a little bit better, but I think they're also at the beginning of the whole cycle, but there's also still potential for the German economy or the European economy.
Of course, it's just the beginning, but we're moving with lightning speed there. Yeah. Moore's law is getting into the real economy with all its consequences. Yep. And of course, one can get the impression that a company like Trumpf or KUKA, who is present here, has got it. But so many seem to didn't. Don't yep. get it, and even small and medium-sized enterprises. Mr. Gabriel yesterday on his walk around the fair, he mentioned them as an example for companies who maybe miss that train. Is that true? I mean, do you feel in your business also that maybe the bigger ones are more adaptive this time than the smaller ones that are being perceived as being so fast?
I would not say that, but I would say especially the bigger clients, because we are mainly working for the DAX 30 companies.
Right, who can pay the bill.
And large mid-sized companies. They, especially in the last couple of months, have understood, okay, it's really the time now to act, really the time to do something to address the digital business as fast as possible. So that's really one of the top priorities in the CXO agendas.
Has there been an emotional change when it comes to that in the past 12 months, especially? Do those CEOs in those DAX 30 companies realize in a different way what's going on than 12 months ago?
I would say so. Yes, the need of urgency, I think, has increased since 2014 okay. or 2013. So there is a push. It's
something that mirrors in our reporting about DAX 30 companies. Companies like Linde or Allianz, they're all talking digital right now. Do you think it's in the stadium of just to talk about digitalization of those huge companies, or are there actually projects growing on that bear ripe fruits in the foreseeable future?
Yeah. So on the one hand, of course, it's important to market digital. On the other hand, I'm pretty sure that all of the DAX 30 companies at the moment have some projects, either minor or bigger projects ongoing to address the digital business. But I think, as I said, a key topic is really, first of all, to understand your business model.
Okay.
And if you do that, then it's the right step to then to get money.
But you have to, maybe we have to be more precise. You have to understand how your business model works, right? Not now. I presume you have understood that, being a Volkswagen or BMW, but you have to think about what it will look like in 10 years to come.
Exactly.
So you will be, as a Volkswagen, or let's talk just, I don't want to mention any clients I don't know about. Let's say you are a huge German car company. So a huge German car company, right now, it's building cars. In 10 years, it's going to be a mobility provider?
Maybe, maybe not. I think 10 years from now on, I would say it's not that we are finally in the complete new future. I think it takes at least 15 to 20 years. But in any way, you should have, first of all, your long-term vision in place, that you understand, okay, what is my target I'm aiming for? But on the other hand, it's also very important.
So the long-term vision would be, I'm not building, and right now it already is, I'm not building the car, but I'm providing mobility to my customer.
Yeah. Or for example, for an elevator company, it's just providing a
reliable up and downward movement.
Correct.
Okay.
This would be the future. But on the other hand, I mean, it's also not the right to do to then purely focus then on the new business. We are here. We are in 2015, so you want to earn money in 2015.
Right now. Right. So, okay, but you want to earn money in 10 years also. Yeah. So you have to build a bridge there.
Exactly. You need to understand what is my migration plan, and here typically what is or what seems to be more successful is to rather have small cycles, smaller innovation cycles to get to the new to your future target state instead of doing a big bang.
Okay, so you have to develop faster, and you have to size your projects a little bit differently compared to what you did in the past. So actually, Martin Winterkorn, I'm sorry, we are so close to Wolfsburg here. So, but I guess 8 days ago in the German news magazine Stern, he gave an interview, and he said, and that came as a surprise to me, even after 20 years in journalism writing about companies, that they actually right now are introducing a new car every second week around the world. So of course he meant updates and stuff too, but he was thinking about China, Brazil, and of course Europe, Russia, what have you. Special cars for special markets, every 2 weeks a new car. So they came a long way already, right? And basically that's what you mean, right? Maybe that's the future, to develop even faster, more precise for a special market until there is one product for one customer that's 100% individualized.
Exactly. And then if you make that possible, I mean, that what does it mean for your organization? Yeah, that means a complete change compared to the business as it was in 10 years ago. For example, you need to have an organization that is much more flexible, much more agile, to make it really happen, these 2 weeks product launches?
But we're talking about organizations, but it's the people that make the organization, right? So how can I achieve that they will be more flexible in their minds? It's not just about who is accountable for what, right?
No,
but
definitely
it's the way of thinking.
Definitely not. And here it's important to address the culture, basically.
Okay.
To really create a mind shift for the future, for the business. And you mentioned the car manufacturers, for example, that have established a long tradition of how to work, and this needs to change, right? So it's very difficult to do this digital transformation.
It absolutely is, since a typical German hierarchical model is basically obsolete, right? Right now I'm reading a book by Eric Schmidt, Google's chairman. It's called How Google Works, and it's an entire book about smart creatives and how to deal with those typically younger people who have who are highly intelligent, but they have their own view on things, and they really want to change companies from the inside. But you have to allow that, right? That's a challenge for people right now.
Yeah, it is a challenge. But what could be an option, for example, what also some companies did, is to create a so-called lab. Yeah. So that's a separate unit, either could be integrated in the existing organization or completely separated, but a small organization where you're basically focus your digital natives, your digital talents
on that special product, like BMW did with the i3
project, for example.
Right. They established a pirate culture there. That's their own quote unquote pirate culture.
Could be an option, and then later on you can leverage this unit then to enable more use cases to help the whole organization then transform into the digital world.
Okay, so then we have a huge company like BMW learning from people that are basically attached to I guess that's important, strategically important project, so they are not working on a playground there and playing with their toys.
Exactly.
Yeah. They are doing something real, which then has an impact into the old organization.
Yeah.
Okay, so like changing how a regular BMW that's not on batteries is being connected to an app, for example.
For example, yeah.
Okay.
Or we had a client also in the media industry where they also had a big challenge of the digital business, and they had also the challenge in the internal IT unit to integrate the new digital business like web page development, like apps, into the existing IT department. Also there the decision was taken to create, first of all, a separate unit.
From the classic IT that was running the
completely
the PCs.
separated.
Right.
Yeah? Mm. So there have all your digital talents in that are responsible for app development, for web design. And then later on, because also this unit becomes one day mature enough to run a standard business as the big organization, if that point comes, then you can also integrate that
into the old organization.
Exactly.
But indeed, it's different worlds in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Especially from the mindset. And I do know what I'm talking about, since of course we are developing apps in our company also, and that's not necessarily done by the people who run the IT infrastructure, right?
Okay, yeah.
And of course it's not their competence. As well as they do the one thing, they won't be even able to develop apps, I guess.
Yep.
So, and are not specialists in that regard. So if there are any questions from you in the audience, please just raise a hand and make yourself heard. I guess we'll see that, and maybe Alexander will be able to answer them, or I'm sure he will be able to. It's an opportunity. People do pay more once he left the stage to get those answers. So you were mentioning different approaches in the US and in Germany when it comes to Industry 4.0 and the standards you need to make this thing work.
Yep.
And to sort this out just a little bit, basically the US-centric Industrial Internet Consortium, they just do things like the slogan of Nike. They just do things and then they say, well, if it works, we probably have a standard. In Germany, we have the different approach, basically driven by the engineers, I guess, to talk about standards first and then develop on those standards. But maybe we are in bad luck there, since if nobody is interested in those standards, our use cases won't work on that. So what's the best approach there?
I mean, as you said, there's a risk in being too late if you try to, first of all, create your standard and then, based on your standard, create your products, create your offering, right?
Right.
So it's much more helpful to
just
maybe
do it.
partner,
Yeah,
just
or
do it,
partner.
or partner.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not that you need to develop your standard, but you maybe can identify proper partners. Maybe also some startups that can help you to build such a standard. And maybe the standard is not then the standard for life, but maybe at least.
But it's good enough for the next 5 years.
It's a starting
right?
Right.
Right. Maybe we shouldn't overestimate standards, since if you just think about the USB connector and how often this thing changes, and now USB-C is about to come, and you can basically throw away your old stuff or buy another adapter. A standard shouldn't be like law for the next 100 years. That's true. Talking about partners, that's a good point. You need to be, it was basically the last point on your list in your introductory speech. Talking about partners, it's another challenge for an established organization to actually not only listen a little bit more to the customer, but to those young partners you maybe find on this Code N Hall also, right?
Exactly, yeah. And this is also what we see from reality, that this is really a problem, also to connect the business, the top management with startups. And here also we created a so-called digital lab where we exactly address these points. And
within AT Kearney, you built this lab. Okay.
To basically connect startups, to connect new companies, also with the top management, to help the top management basically to build their digital capabilities in their organization.
Okay. And you build this lab for every client you have, or you have this one lab where everybody learns no matter in what industry he is in?
Yeah, it's basically an interface. You can consider it as interface. So if we get a question from one of our clients and we identify some partners, maybe some digital companies, startups that can help the client to solve a problem, to enable a use case, we basically do this transfer and bring these two companies together, and then they can take it from there and then execute, implement the use case.
Okay. One more try to get questions from the audience. I'm sure there must be some. I'll be just leaving the stage. Thank you. So why don't I ask you? I'm sure you do have a question.
Actually, I was not listening. And,
come on.
What is AT Kearney contributing to the startups in somewhere in the middle of Germany?
As I said, we created a so-called digital lab where we basically help also some startups, some smaller companies to connect to the bigger, larger corporate customers in case they have a problem, and to enable a use case to solve a problem, to bring these two together. So also we created an ecosystem with selected partners. So also there, we as AT Kearney, we could help smaller companies then also to extend their business.
Actually, we do have a question right here, so please just state your name and then the question.
My name is Oliver Dembach. The question I would have is, what do you see in your real life as a realistic timeline when the investments in Digital 4.0, a bit difficult to say in which industry, in average, is taking place? So how much time, if I would be a company, I need to take until I have, let's say, I see the success of these investments?
So there is a payoff, if you will, right?
Yeah.
Thanks.
So I think it's difficult to state a time frame, because it somehow also depends on the use case you basically enable. If you think about Industry 4.0, the question is, what do you want to enable? Do you want to reduce your time to market, your ramp-up time? If you introduce a new product line, for example, there we see savings of up to 50%. Or of the ramp-up time and ramp-up costs that you can enable, for example. But it's difficult to say, okay, this can be achieved in 2 or 3 years or so. It somehow also depends on actually the use case you want to enable.
And it's highly dependent on the industry you are in, right? So do you have an example where it got really fast? I mean, a really quick payoff? Or is in your examples, it's more like 5 years from what you hear?
It's difficult, I would say, but if you go rather into B2C business, I think there the payoff is faster than in the B2C business, because also B2B means companies also have some investments to make, and typically the life cycle you have to replace your investment, you replace your assets. That typically takes a little bit longer, but in the B2C segment that could be faster.
So B2C is faster. I don't know if you're in the B2C segment or the B2B, but since you are in the B2B segment, and I do know this from our talk we had before we met today, B2C and B2B is getting ever more comparable. Like B2B is getting to be more like B2C. That's what Jack Ma said in his opening speech on Sunday evening, and there is some truth to it. Since every customer becomes a little bit more specific, you do know way more about him, and he's just like one individual customer in the C segment, right?
Yep.
In the future.
Exactly. So you have much more different customer requirements that you need to address. You need to address transparency. Customers want to know everything. So this really creates new challenges, new requirements, but on the other hand also you still need to maintain your existing requirements. For example, availability, reliability.
Right.
These are some requirements where a business B2B customer definitely does not have a trade-off between the new requirements and the existing ones.
Okay. Yeah, well, thank you guys so much for listening to us. If there is any further questions, just show me now. So you're all set? That's great. Thanks for your time, and enjoy the rest of the CeBIT show. Thank you.